Hey guys, Helping Hands here. This is the second tip of the week, and this time we're talking about how to capture sectors correctly. So, capturing a sector, you grab yourself a squad, and then you right-click the sector that you want to capture. In this case, this is a munitions point, to capture the point. When units are in the capture zone, you'll see a blue bar, a blue circle, sorry, fill all the way up, and then once that's all the way up, that point will be under your control. If you hold down Shift, and then click another point, like so, and then another one, like that, what will happen is that your unit will capture that point, and as soon as it's done capturing that point, it will start going on the second order that you gave it and capture the next point. Now, that isn't always the best way to capture a sector, guys, because if you do shift capping a sector, your unit will go to the center of the point. Now, ideally, that isn't the best way to do it. What you want to do is actually capture the sector at the edge of the point. You can still capture it with one guy inside the sector. Now, once it's captured, you can then move on to the next point quickly. Like so, and then once you've done that, you can immediately go on to the next point. You've got to be quick with your micro though, so once you cap it, then you need to click the squad manually and then move on to the next point. But you save yourself a little bit of time, because the squad, if you just cap it from the center of the point, they're going to be, they'll be a little bit slower to move on to the next point. So there you go, you save yourself a little bit of time, and that way you can get your sectors capped faster and maybe be a little bit ahead of your opponent. When capturing a point, either if it's in enemy hands or neutral, it's always a good idea to build cover if you have a squad that can build such cover. So here we're going to capture an enemy munitions point. It takes a long time to capture the point anyway. Normally, your unit will be sitting around idle, but what you could do instead is actually build some cover like this, build some sandbags, and then also once the sandbags are complete, build a strip of wire on the opposite side. That way, you've built nice green cover for yourself, so it's easy to defend the point, and also your opponent can't really use the cover as well, because that barbed wire stops them from using the opposite side of those sandbags. Like so. So there you go, we have the sandbags built, and we're still capturing the point. If you just capture the point and left your squad to do that, then, you've not built yourself any green cover, or, it's not going to be easy to defend. So here, while it's just sitting around doing nothing, idle, you might as well strengthen your position to make it more favourable to you if you ever try to come back and defend the point, or if you need to retake it in the future if it gets taken by enemy players. One thing you can do to further strengthen, your resource sectors like this is to lay mines in the direction you expect your enemy to cap them from. So the American player Jack is over here. This is his base, and so I expect him maybe to be capping from this direction. If you see my mouse cursor, he'll probably come either from this point to capture this point, or from the fuel point to here. So the best way, place to put a mine is probably in this location around about here. So when my opponent tries to come over and capture this point, he's likely to go hit this mine if he hasn't got a sweeper, and then that way he takes some damage, and then he might retreat because the squad gets to, it's too low, or you bring a squad in there to chase off that squad that's trying to capture the point, making it a lot easier for you to grab that point because that squad's already in a weakened state thanks to the mine. If you find yourself floating manpower in Company Heroes 3, and you've also got maximum population caps, so you've maxed out your army, you can't build any more units, one great way to spend your excess manpower is to cache resource points to get further income from those points. So for here we have a munitions point, you press S on these Panzer Pioneers, and then you click resource cache, costing you 200 manpower. What your Pioneers will now do, or your Engineers, they will then construct this cache. Not only will it make it harder to cap, because the enemy players will need to destroy this cache before they can start capturing the point, but it also will generate more resources, as you will now see. So there we go, it went from a 10 plus munitions point to a 15 plus munition point, and this will benefit every person on your team as well. So if you're playing a 2v2 or 3v3 or 4v4, everybody in that team will also get a benefit from this munitions point. So you'll also see, if you're paying attention down here, it increase up to plus 51. You can also do this on fuel points. So I've cached this fuel point here. This is a 10 fuel point we made to 15. You can do this on manpower points like here. However, it doesn't actually increase the manpower. All right. So I would advise against putting the resource cache on these points, because it just makes it so it's harder for enemies to cap because they have to destroy the cache. But you're not actually getting an increased amount of manpower if you cache these points. You also can't put a cache on the victory points either. They are a point that you can't cache. In Company Heroes 3, there's a new mechanic where the Kettenkrad and the Weasel can capture points and actually increase how much resources they generate if they have an upgrade. Once the Kettenkrad is upgraded, you'll notice that there'll be two spools of wire, there we go, on the back of the Kettenkrad. Now, if it captures any point, it can generate more resources. So beforehand, it would just capture this fuel pan at 10, just plus 10, but if it has the spools of wire on the back, it will generate up to plus 13 instead. And it only costs 25 missions for this upgrade, which is known as communication cables. There we go, plus 13. I can now grab my Pioneer squad and then cache the point even further to get even more resources. And there's actually one more thing I can do to generate even more resources on this fuel point if I click a specific commander. And that is if I pick the breakthrough battle group and I choose the 2.5 ton cargo truck. So I've just called it onto the battlefield right now. Here it comes. So we're just going to drive it to the fuel point, and you can see here that it's gone from plus 30 now to plus 20 thanks to this cache. And what I need to do is I need to get within this circle and then activate resource supervision. So I'm going to get right into the circle and then A, and you can see it's gone up now to plus 26, which is really good. So from 20 and then plus 26, really strong. And so, especially in team games, if you do this in team games, guys, and on like safe back points, so let's say you did it on this point, this is right outside your base, it's really easy to defend. If you did this right from the early game, it's very important. So that's why I would also recommend, actually don't capture the points right outside your base, right from the get-go. Let your teammates Kettenkrad, once it's upgraded, capture those points and then cache them later on. Because if you do that right, you know, if you cap them too early, you can't then benefit from that extra resource generation that the Kettenkrad upgrade gives you. So make sure to always back cap with these Kettenkrads first, and then send your like pioneers forward, capturing standard manpower points and the VPs instead, and your Grens, and just get your infantry, your grenadiers, your MGs pushing forward to the front line, and let your Kettenkrad just back up everything. These points here are very unlikely to get harassed in a match because they're so close to your base, and they're very easy to defend since they're so close to your base as well. So guys, to get access to the Weasel when playing the Americans, you need to pick the Special Operations Battle Group. You then need to confirm it, and then select the M29 Weasel recon vehicle over here, or if you have one CP, you can get it here and also get an engineer squad with a flamethrower team. So here comes the Weasel. The Weasel can upgrade with a pintle-mounted 30 cal machine gun. We kind of need to upgrade it so it can actually get some veterancy here. It needs to get some kills because it needs to get some veterancy 1 so that it can do the same thing the Kettenkrad does. So it's this ability over here. Unlock signal layer. Resources captured by the M29 generate more resources. So now my Weasel is veterancy 1. We're going to now unlock the signal layer. And now we're going to grab this point. You'll see that it'll go to plus 13, just like the Kettenkrad. Now, I have not seen any American or British units that have the same kind of Opal Blitz truck mechanic. There may be ones in future, so you might be able to do the same thing which we did with the Opal Blitz in the future. But at the moment, this is the best we can get with 13, and then putting a cache down to get it up to about 20. And there you go, 20 income from that fuel point. Going on to the next point, we're going to be using Company Heroes 2 because it works exactly the same way in Code 2 compared to Code 3, and that is stopping your opponent from capturing a sector or them stopping you from capturing a sector. So let's say this is an enemy ration squad. It's capturing this point. All I would need to do to stop my opponent from capturing the point is just throw a friendly unit that can capture a sector into that point, into that circle, the circumference of the circle, and then it will stop the capture at the moment you enter the point. So as soon as I exit again, you can see it capturing again. But as long as you get in there just in the nick of time, like so, you can stop your opponent from capturing that important point. So let's just imagine that was a victory point. You were down to like one VP. If you was going to capture that point, you would lose the game. Use this to your advantage like that. So make sure to get into the point. I'll show you a couple of other examples right now on how this can be really important. So here we have a restaurant squad going for my cutoff right now. If he gets it, I'll lose all my resource income, but as long as I make sure to get into the sector, I will stop him from being able to decap my point, and then I can hopefully win the fight and force him to retreat. Let's say we kill him off, we ended up killing him, and then there we go, the point was never decapped, and we still keep generating all the resources. So here, let's say I'm trying to capture this VP. You know, I need to capture this VP to stay in this match, but here comes a rifleman squad. My pioneer's just so close to getting the cap done, but the rifle squad's going to get in there, deny the cap, and this might end up me losing the match. And I'm not going to be able to win this fight against these riflemen most likely, so I'm probably going to have to retreat and run away here, and that might be the end of the match. So here's just another example, guys, of how you could lose a game of Company Heroes 2, or Company Heroes 3 potentially, by just getting into the capping circle just at the last moment. So hopefully it'll go away and make some good use of these tips I've given you today. So guys, that's the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did and want more content, check up over here and over here. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, make sure to click the button down here. To catch the next video, guys, take care, and I'll see you soon.